Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the true mechanics of wealth building, and we're doing it by looking at the fascinating 25-year journey of a poor student named Daniel. We're going to dig into the exact habits, the everyday choices, and the specific mindset that completely transformed his life. Now, I want you to picture Daniel's starting line. No expensive clothes, zero rich parents, absolutely no inheritance, and no powerful connections to lean on. Honestly, if you looked at his bank account back then, you'd find less than $50 to his name. The guy was literally skipping lunches just to scrape together some spare change. Most people would look at that situation and just assume, well, he's destined to struggle forever. But fast forward 25 years and Daniel is a self-made millionaire. So you really have to ask yourself, how exactly does someone go from skipping meals to amassing genuine wealth? I mean, he didn't win the lottery, there was no sudden miracle, and he definitely didn't just get lucky overnight. Instead, he made hundreds of small, seemingly insignificant financial decisions that everyone else around him just completely ignored. So let's break down exactly how he did it. Let's start right at the beginning. Chapter 1, A Poor Student's Dream. Back then, Daniel and his mom lived in this tiny rented room where the roof literally leaked every single time it rained. But notice the stark contrast in how he spent his evenings. While his peers were totally glued to their video games, Daniel was sitting at this old, broken wooden table, studying under a tiny lamp. One night, his mother actually apologized for their poverty, and he told her that she had already given him the ultimate asset, the resilience to never, ever give up. That single lesson became the absolute bedrock of his mindset, and honestly, it was worth far more than money. Moving right along to Chapter 2, The Choice of Two Seeds. It was a random encounter with an elderly gardener that completely shifted Daniel's perspective. The gardener handed him two seeds, one to eat today and one to plant for tomorrow, and it clicked for Daniel instantly. Money works exactly the same way. Every single dollar that comes into your hands is a seed. You can either consume it right now for instant gratification, or you can plant it for a much better future. Which brings us to Chapter 3, The Power of Small Habits. So at just 16 years old, Daniel gets his first job stocking grocery shelves. Now, while his coworkers were blowing their small paychecks on fast food and the newest gadgets, Daniel stayed incredibly disciplined. He actually took his tiny paycheck and split it into three exact equal parts: necessities, learning, and saving and investing. People literally laughed at him. They wondered, what difference could such tiny amounts possibly make? But Daniel knew the secret. Small habits compound. And that middle slice, the one for learning, that was his absolute secret weapon. Since he couldn't afford pricey university courses, he spent every single Saturday building his own free education at the local library. He devoured books on personal finance, investing, entrepreneurship, economics, communication, you name it, even studying the habits of successful people. It really lit a spark in him. He realized super early on that compounding knowledge creates opportunities way before compounding interest ever does. The more he learned, the more his confidence just skyrocketed. Next up is Chapter 4, Growing the Financial Snowball. When Daniel finally had enough to begin investing, he stayed so incredibly grounded. He understood risk, he knew returns were never guaranteed, and he for sure didn't expect to get rich overnight. He treated his growing wealth exactly like rolling a tiny snowball downhill. I mean, at first, it barely looks like it's growing at all, right? But with patience and constant reinvestment, time simply becomes your absolute greatest ally. Think about the everyday habits most people have. Daily coffees, constant takeout, random impulse shopping. These routine things were quietly draining his peers' wealth. But Daniel flipped the script by being deeply, intensely intentional. Before buying anything, he'd literally pause and ask himself, will this actually improve my life, or is it just satisfying today's impulse? That one simple mental filter of delayed gratification, it saved him thousands upon thousands of dollars over the years. And crucially, Daniel didn't just settle for one salary. He realized that relying on a single paycheck is actually a massive risk. So he took actionable steps to build multiple income streams. He worked his full-time day job, did freelance work in the evenings, learned new digital skills online, and eventually launched a small digital business. This kind of diversification built him an ironclad financial resilience. Now for Chapter 5, Surviving the Financial Storm. When the economy inevitably took a downturn, Daniel actually lost his day job. But while everyone else was panicking, he was completely protected by a shield he'd built himself. He had a fully funded emergency savings account, absolutely zero consumer debt, highly marketable skills, and strong professional relationships. You see, his preparation during the good times gave him the ultimate leverage during the bad times. He easily picked up more freelance work while calmly searching for his next role. Which brings us to our final chapter, Chapter 6, The Secret to Lasting Wealth. Fast forward 25 years, and Daniel returns to his old neighborhood as a confirmed millionaire. The old grocery store and the library, they're still right there. And a young student recognizes him on the street and asks him the exact question we all want the answer to. What was the secret investment? Well, Daniel just laughed. He told the kid there was no hidden shortcut, no magical secret stock pick. The real answer? It was thousands of ordinary, boring decisions. It was choosing to read a book instead of scrolling on a screen, saving money before spending it, investing patiently, living well below his means, and, exactly like his mother taught him under that broken lamp all those years ago, never giving up when progress felt slow. No, it wasn't flashy, but step by step, it worked perfectly. So, to wrap up this explainer, here is the real takeaway you need to remember. Wealth is a system, not just a high salary. Spend thoughtfully, save consistently, invest carefully, keep learning, and always prepare for setbacks. If you give those 5 core principles enough time, they will absolutely produce extraordinary results in your own life. I'm going to leave you with this really powerful final thought from Daniel's journey. Wealth is all about making better decisions again and again and again, because the future is built one choice at a time. So looking at your own life right now, what small financial decision will you make differently tomorrow?